Hello, cruel world. My name is Dr. Soham. I'm a consultant forensic psychiatrist. I assess mentally disordered offenders for a living so that you don't have to. You can call me the ominous Sohominous. Now, ADHD is like having a hyperactive squirrel living in your brain. It's like you're a rapper with an amazing hype man, but he won't shut up once you've left the stage. But what about when the signs are a bit more hidden, when they're subtle? Are there subtle clandestine forms of ADHD? Well, obviously there are, otherwise I wouldn't be making this video. So this episode is about the secret hidden signs of ninja ADHD. I'll tell you the definition of what it is. I'll tell you some stats about how common ADHD is in the UK. And just so you're aware, this is part one. There's going to be a part two, which is about how ADHD can damage relationships. And there's a little bit of a bonus in that part two. I'm going to tell you about the dangers of misdiagnosing attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Before we get into everything, I'm going to tell you about my expertise, just to quickly blow my own bassoon. So I've assessed thousands of patients over my career. I specialize in offending, so I talk to prisoners in courts and people on trial, etc. I wouldn't say that ADHD is a common diagnosis, because it's actually very rare for somebody to commit violence just because of ADHD. Maybe the one exception is sometimes with impulsivity, but I'm very familiar with the diagnostic criteria for times that I've worked and diagnosed this outside of working with offenders. Okay, so before we start, a quick question for my Psych for Soul guys and gals. What proportion of adults do you think there are with ADHD in the UK that are undiagnosed? Answers later on in this episode. So let's get into it. I'm going to start by telling you the definition of ADHD. So the symptoms are kind of like the brain's busy bees, and it's generally split into three different categories. There's inattention, there's hyperactivity, and there's impulsivity. So inattention is stuff like difficulty focusing on a task, easily distracted, and also struggling to organize one's tasks. And there was one other thing. Being forgetful, that was it. In terms of the category of hyperactivity, that's stuff like fidgeting, squirming, difficulty sitting still, excessive talking, basically being as restless as a rabbit with rabies on a treadmill after 3 Red Bulls. Blurting out answers, I meant to say is that another example of impulsivity includes blurting out answers and also interrupting other people. And also there's reckless, risky behavior. So I occasionally see this with impulsive offending like shoplifting. And there's also, with ADHD, there's a difficulty in waiting for your turn. And I don't mean that one fat kid who looks like he's about 30, but he's actually 14, who pushes in front of the queue for the fairground ride. I actually mean not having the capability or the attention to even realize that there's people ahead in the queue ahead of you. So to summarize, ADHD is like herding cats when those cats are your thoughts. So that's about the obvious signs. That's like the kind of definition. That's what you'd see in a textbook. But what about the more subtle kind of signs? Cue the introduction. Number one subtle sign that you've got ADHD is you're a manic tab switcher on your internet browser. So you find yourself switching between 15 different tabs, and each time you open one, you do have a reasonable purpose. You've been searching how to get a 6-pack in 2 months, or you want to see if the price of Nike Air Jordans has reduced, but you never actually finish one task without impulsively starting another one and opening another tab. So this all indicates that your attention span is shorter than a goldfish's memory. It's shorter than a Kardashian's marriage. It's shorter than Kevin Hart without his platform shoes on. So if this all applies to you, then you might be an ADHD ninja. So that particular sign covers the 3 symptoms groups, which were, if you're paying attention, inattention, hyperactivity, impulsivity. Number 2 subtle hidden sign that you might have ADHD is that work colleagues avoid pleasantries with you. So if your work colleagues completely avoid you, it could be because of your smelly breath, or maybe your chat stinks more than the Portaloos at Glastonbury on day 4. Sorry, but even my immense psychiatric talents and capabilities can't help you there. But if your colleagues are happy to talk to you socially or in the pub or during your fag break, but they avoid you when they're actually busy and they need to get some work done, maybe it's because you talk like a machine gun with actual vocabulary. If people often tell you to take a breath, then maybe you're radiating ADHD energy. So this particular hidden sign covers the core symptom of hyperactivity. Okay, let's take a quick break and I'll give you some stats for you nerds. I know you love that stuff. So what's the prevalence of ADHD? Approximately 2 to 5% of school-age children have ADHD, and around 3 to 4% of the adult population has ADHD. And in terms of gender, it's more commonly diagnosed in boys than in girls, but that's not necessarily because they're a different prevalence. It could be because of how it manifests itself in girls. Okay, so changing subjects again, and it's not because I'm easily distractible. There's been a significant increase in ADHD in terms of diagnoses and medications in recent years, particularly in adults. And logically, it's unlikely this has suddenly jumped up, which means that the diagnostic rate or the amount of people being diagnosed rather than just the amount of people having it must have swelled. So an interesting thought exercise, I think, is this a good thing? Does it mean more people are getting help, or does it mean that people are being diagnosed inappropriately? More on that entire concept in part 2 of this video. So many adults remain undiagnosed with ADHD. So quick question, my site for sore guys and gals, don't cancel me. Can you estimate what percentage of adults with ADHD are thought to be undiagnosed in the UK? Answers later on in the Schmepisode. Number 3 subtle sign that you have hidden clandestine ADHD is that your desk is a battlefield. NATO has had to send in a recon squad to find your research notes about ancient Egyptians, and you swear that it was somewhere on your desk, but there's so many piles of paper it's just impossible to find. Basically, in other words, you're an organizational nightmare. There is a pile of textbooks with 36 post-it notes, each look on top of each other, looking like a precarious game of Jenga. Unbeknownst to you, the mould from leftover salmon en croûte that your mother made you 3 weeks ago are buried underneath some random scribblings you did, has all evolved into a basic life form, and it's created its own ecosystem. So if tidying is a foreign concept to you, you might have ninja ADHD. This might be a subtle sign specifically of inattention and the ability to focus and organise. Number 4 subtle sign that you have ADHD, the whole day has disappeared again. Before I get into that, I just want to introduce you to this channel, A Schmike for Small Minds. I am a forensic psychiatrist, so I assess mentally disordered people in courts and prisons. I act as an expert witness. This channel is a smorgasbord of videos about offending, about mental illness, and the crossover betwixt the two. I implore you to subscribe, because if you do, not only does it help me out immeasurably, but you'll never buy overripe avocados ever again. It's like when you're trying to eat a rock. They'll be soft and squidgy from now on, guaranteed, or your money back. In terms of other videos I've done 5 hidden signs of autism, how it affects relationships. I've done stuff about myths on depression, on toxic masculinity, all that good stuff. Go jiggity check it out. Okay, back to the episode. Number 4 subtle sign that you've got ADHD is the whole day has disappeared again. So do you live in a repeated time walk? Are hours and days literally vanishing like birthday cake at your fat cousin's party? Don't get me wrong, many people can waste hours on YouTube watching instant karma videos. We all get that satisfaction from seeing a Karen call the police because a dodgy looking man is using their swimming pool in the apartment complex, and we all feel smug when the police come and we find out the man actually lives there. Sure, but the average person maybe does that for, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours at most. But if you have special secret ninja ADHD, you might spend the entire day or even days watching pointless, though undeniably entertaining videos. It could be a hidden sign that covers all 3 symptom groups. So inattention, specifically being easily distracted, and impulsivity, and also problems in managing your time and planning. Number 5, the last subtle sign that you might have hidden ADHD. Come on, you can do it, get you back into it. You have to write an essay on ancient Egyptians, but you've ended up cleaning your fridge. So people who suffer from ADHD are Olympic level procrastinators. Don't get me wrong, nobody wanted to write that essay. Maybe your friends and your peers also procrastinated, but if they are not secret ADHD ninjas like you, they will eventually do it. You, on the other hand, literally just cannot do it. You started out the day with the full intention of doing it, but you kept going down a rabbit hole of distracting thoughts, procrastinating tasks. But ironically, you didn't tidy your desk, did you? You didn't tidy your desk. And that salmon en croûte that has actually started to grow legs. And this all implies that you are suffering from inattention, specifically being easily distracted, and an inability to focus. And that's it, folks. Those are my 5 hidden signs of ADHD. Let's just recap what we've learned today, kids, because I want these videos to be educational. That's the purpose of making them. Also to take over the world, not going great. So we learned that ADHD symptoms can generally be split into 3 categories: inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. We learned that one subtle indication that you might have that's not necessarily that obvious is you open too many tabs searching for stuff on your computer. Each time you have a purpose, but you're just easily distracted. We learned that your work colleagues avoid pleasantries with you, and it's not just because of your smelly breath. It's because your hyperactivity means you don't know when to shut up. We learned that approximately 2 to 5% of school-age children have ADHD, between 3 to 4 of the adult population have them. We learned you have a very clean fridge. We've learned that if you've spent the entire day, not just an hour or two, watching pointless though undeniably entertaining videos, you might have secret, special, ninja ADHD. As I said before, this is part 1 of a 2-part franchise. It's not a franchise, is it? A 2-part series. The second part will be about ADHD, specifically how it can damage romantic relationships. Plus, with a bonus, I'm going to tell you my thoughts about what the problem is with misdiagnosing ADHD. So, buy my goddamn book. Have a blessed day. Let me know in the Schmomish section if there are any topics related to mental health, mental illness, or criminality, crime, violence, etc., that you want me to wax lyrical about. I will try and make a video about it eventually. Until next time, peace, and do not forget, I love you.